Authorities are cautioning that the heat waves engulfing Europe have only recently started. August is predicted to be a month of high temperatures. It also isn't a reprieve. Italy, Spain, and Greece are definitely hoping for some relief from the oppressive heat. Rome had record-breaking high temperatures. 42 degrees Celsius prompted officials to develop rules for workers spending hours outdoors in Greece's oppressive heat. At the Acropolis, employees are on strike, protesting, and working in the scorching sun. Additionally, this week's high is forecast to be 44 degrees Celsius, while next week's high is forecast to be higher. Although heat waves are become the new normal, the topic of what improvements our society can do too. Can society take something to combat the rising temperatures? Discussed this earlier today with Rachel Kyte, the Director of Climate Solutions at the Fletcher School at Tufts University. Ocean temperatures are extraordinarily high all the way to the Arctic. Additionally, Southeast Asia and South Asia have experienced high temperatures. Therefore, it is a global tragedy that was predicted. Scientists have been warning us about this, and now it has arrived despite our warnings. Therefore, we shouldn't be concerned about excessive temperatures. A future date. People are dying today from the intense heat. Let's discuss policies because I want to try to comprehend. Let's discuss policy because I'm eager to try and comprehend viewers because we cover this subject every day. If this is the new normal, what needs to be done? What kind of policy do we need to see from the governments in this area? The first thing is urgency. We can no longer continue to put off dealing with this. Therefore, in order for us to feel comfortable within public facilities such as hospitals and schools, they will need to be retrofitted. Perhaps we should rearrange our study schedule. It implies that we must make affordable, non-polluting air conditioning available to people with low and intermediate incomes. That consumes less energy but is not inherently polluting. As a result, in the near future, cooling centers will need to be opened, just like they are in the cutting-edge cities of Phoenix, Boston, Seville, and other nations, where we need to regulate energy demand. A gym in a school could be a cooling center. However, it must be a place where people may escape the cold, even if it is a church basement. Labor rules don't need to alter, and we're starting to see that. In this kind of heat, you can't be outworking your competitors in the fields. Consequently, it's how we think and act that matters. Definitely how we construct our cities, how we create our cities, how we heat and cool our structures. As you mentioned, it's often a concrete jungle in the low-income areas of a city, while the wealthy reside in lush suburbs. Talk to us about how to create our cities, make them greener, and adapt since you're talking about how we're altering both how we live and how we build things. Therefore, the building materials we use, how we think about how those structures consume energy, as well as how they can actually produce energy. If you travel to nations like Denmark, you can see this in Vancouver as well. You may see this in Vancouver and other towns, as well as in nations like Denmark. The water that is immediately adjacent to the building is used to cool entire cities' areas. So you may utilize district cooling to cool the building by just exploiting the difference in water temperature that you bring up through pipes throughout the building. Therefore, it doesn't require a lot of air conditioning. It does not demand a great deal of energy. There are such technologies. There are modern air conditioning technologies that let you dehumidify and cool the air simultaneously. These technologies are thus present. They will need to be deployed quickly. Really quickly. How much does all of this cost? I'm considering underdeveloped nations. You spoke about the lack of urgency that we currently experience and have thus far witnessed, yet this is incredibly expensive for developing nations. Energy demand, however, is quite expensive. So some of these devices might really reduce energy consumption. Nothing consumes more energy than everyone using an extremely inefficient window rattler. As a result, I believe that some of the most interesting work over the past several years has been designing air conditioning that uses no harmful emissions, is incredibly efficient, and can be purchased at a price range that a low-income Indian family can afford. That's where the population is currently expanding. The heat is especially strong there. There is a solution that could address each of these issues. Are governments paying attention to your advice? Do they recognize the urgency? Sincerity be damned, the answer is no. We still are, sort of. Let's go through it now. Let's research it. Let's consider it. We should, get a group of specialists because, I don't know, this year. I thought we were examining it from 5 years ago. Right, exactly. It is now vitally important to have an integrated energy policy that recognizes when we are using energy inefficiently to cool ourselves. Also generates more heat. You then have to calm down in a difficult atmosphere. Therefore, we need to pay attention to the engineers and scientists who have solutions for this. Then, we'll need to find a way to make it so that people with low and middle incomes can afford this, so that they can't just say, we don't do it because we can't afford it, and so that we can gradually tax these technologies in a way that is fair to developing countries. There are affordable technological options. One room can be kept cool by blowing air over an ice block. Vaccines may be transported to isolated villages safely if you use solar power instead of a machine. Accordingly, depending on where you are, there are high-tech options as well as low-tech solutions.